Hello and welcome to EPR with your favorite environmental enthusiasts, Nic and Laura. On today's episode, Laura and I try to talk about birds. We talked to Sierra Taliaferro about her work with Green Obsidian, the creative process, and of course, birds. And finally, we all know hummingbirds are small, but let's put that in perspective. Most hummingbirds weigh less than a nickel, and the smallest, the bee hummingbird, weighs less than a penny. And even the largest hummingbird, very blandly named the giant hummingbird. Like, come on, guys, we can be more creative with this. The giant hummingbird weighs about the same as a AA battery. So there you go. A whole slew of animals that weigh less than a AA battery. That's pretty cool.
They're so cool. I would love to see a couple of those here. And I'd love to hold one. I want to just see what that feels like.
I think I told you, I don't know if it's made the show, but I think I told you that like I was watering plants once and with like a, do that where it does the water can spray kind of thing. And a hummingbird just took a bath in the middle of it. And I'm like,
what?
No one will believe me. My phone is in the house. No one will believe me.
So cute.
It was adorable. And he's like, thank you so much. And flew off. But yeah. Anyway, hit that music.
Part 1 of the 2023 NAEP Regulations and Rulings webinar series kicks off with a discussion on the EPA and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' final rule, revised definition of waters of the United States on January 30th, 2023, that'll be this year, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 Pacific Time. It's going to be an informative series meant to tackle the significant environmental legislative changes that are coming this year. Check it out at naep.org. We are without sponsor today, so we're going to turn it over to Nic for his 30-second comedy sponsor spotlight. Ready? Go.
Laura, are you tired of having a jacket with sleeves? Do you wish that your entire life you could have your whole body warm except for your arms? I'm telling you, I got the thing for you. It's called a vest. It's a very new, brand new thing. No one's ever had it before. And it's totally practical, right? Your chest, super warm, and your fingers can still get frostbite. That's a feeling we all need to feel alive. So why not embrace the vest this holiday season? That's all I got.
I have always wondered about the vest living in Syracuse. Yeah. I've never bought one. And I also noticed that the regular old vests from the 90s are very much making a comeback.
I know. That's why I thought about it. It's just like, I saw them like that. I was like, oh my God, this would be a funny thing to rip off of. So it's just like, what are we doing with vests? And why are they the same ones from 20 years ago?
They're exactly the same.
30 years ago. God.
Coming out of the thrift stores or something.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So if you hadn't heard yet, go out there and bust out your vest because they're back in style.
There we go. All right. Let's get to our segment.
Wait, who's supposed to say that?
You.
Quit hogging my spot. Let's get to our segment.
Laura, where are you right now?
I am in Curtistown, Hawaii, which is outside of Hilo on the northeast side of the Big Island.
Uh-huh. So I'm super jealous. Cool. Thank you for that.
I'm also, it's an eco farm that I'm on, so I'm off grid. And the Wi-Fi just came on here right at 7. And there's no power. I have to walk up to the house to use the bathroom.
Wild.
Yeah, so you hear lots of chickens and roosters and a goat every once in a while.
And then lots of random birds that I don't know what they are. But
hundreds of birds. I tried to download the bird pack from Merlin, and the file was too large, so I'm going to try again. So I'd like to know what's around here. I've seen quite a few birds that I obviously don't recognize.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Hawaii is a really interesting and beautiful place when it comes to birds in particular, but, obviously in other ways too, but there's so many different birds, so many unique ones just for the island themselves. So that's pretty cool. So you're on Big Island, and that's one of those islands, like it's one of those things where, that's where all the lava is. And that's where, I think there's a current eruption going on right now. And I don't know what it is, but I watched 2 volcano documentaries recently. I don't know why it's not really relevant, but I don't know why. It just reminded me that. Was it Fire of Love, which was a documentary about volcanologists that were married. And then,
interesting.
There was another one about a volcano in New Zealand that erupted with people on it. And there were lots of deaths, but some survivors. So not to scare you.
About that, we've been trying to figure out like when was the last major, so to say, volcano eruption that really affected people. Because like I said, the one here has been erupting, but it's not really disturbed anyone's homes or anything yet. And I think it's pretty quiet right now.
Yeah. There was one on Big Island that did take some homes a few years ago, but the one that I saw the documentary on, which was just crazy to watch because it actually has real, genuinely like, HD footage of a volcano, is the Wakari 2019 eruption. And yeah, there's firsthand accounts of it. And, there's video from smartphones of people of this ash steam cloud coming out. And, that's what hurt people. That's what, people died from it because it's just so hot and it just, melts people. It's just crazy. Ugh, I know. And people were just going to it, and it's just this volcano that had erupted 3 times before that, but just at night when no one was there. So it may be, they don't go there anymore. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, we went to the Black Sand Beach yesterday and just seeing the formation, you can totally see the ripples and the different patterns and different things in the lava rock. It's just really cool. It's so awesome.
Oh, that's so wild. And, that's crazy. So I went on I'm a nerd, right? So I went on a volcano rabbit hole. I wanted to know.
We're talking about birds today.
I know. This is what I know. What is it like? Because you think about it, like I was like, what happens if you actually step on lava? And the first thing I learned is that it's more like peanut butter than water. So it's very thick and you're not just going to like straight through it.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it gives, but it doesn't give a whole lot. And you can see videos of people like stepping and then pulling their foot off, their shoe starts to light on fire and they leave.
I don't think
don't do that. That's not smart.
Right? Yeah. Our host here was telling us that the technology and the science to monitor the volcanoes now is just so advancing so much that they've learned a lot about the chambers and how it works, and which is really interesting and cool.
Yeah. I mean, you really should watch Fire of Love. It's a really great documentary that kind of like, these are not the only 2 people doing it, but it was kind of talking about like their desire to figure this stuff out. Right. And they talk about Mount St. Helens, where they thought that this would be like a 2-kilometer blast and it ended up being like a 50-kilometer blast or whatever it was. It was way, way bigger than they expected. And they're like, how are we so far off? Why were we so wrong? And then it became more and more of their life's mission to understand why these do this and when they will, even incorrectly predicting a few where people didn't believe that they had correctly predicted it, and then disaster struck. So it's really, really, really interesting. So yeah, modern volcanology has come a long way. It's really, really cool that they know a lot about those things. And it seemed to be that they really understand the red volcanoes, which is the Hawaiian ones, the slow, steady ones. And the gray ones were the ones that they were trying to figure out because they're less predictable.
Cool. Well, you're supposed to talk about birds. So let's get to our interview with Sierra, who actually did talk about birds.
There we go.
Welcome back to EPR. Today we have Sierra Taliaferro with us. She is an environmental leader, social justice advocate, and founder of Green Obsidian. Welcome back, Sierra.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So you were here last July in 2022. And so we missed getting to announce your Black History Month postings with Green Obsidian. So we're super excited to have you back and looking forward to hearing about your plans for this year. So just for those who have not listened to the first episode you were on, which, like I said, was back in July, tell us a little bit about yourself and what Green Obsidian is.
Yeah, so my name is Sierra Taliaferro. So I'm originally from Milwaukee and now living in Florida. And my platform is called the Green Obsidian, which is a digital platform I created to really highlight the achievements and elevate the stories of Black people doing really good work at ground level in the wide discipline of environmental conservation, so that we can just bring their stories to a higher altitude that can really be a source of inspiration for the next generation of environmental leaders.
Awesome. And you started Green Obsidian 2 years ago?
No, I started the Green Obsidian. Well, the start of the Green Obsidian, it actually wasn't even called the Green Obsidian. It was just posts that I was doing on Facebook just to really advocate about diversity and environmental conservation. And it just kind of grew momentum since 2019. And it wasn't until 2022, so just last year of March, that I decided to just put all of those stories on a platform to just make it easier to be able to share it, because a lot of the content I was posting, it was on my Facebook page, and my Facebook page is private. So if you know my friend, you may not see it. But I wanted to just kind of build out my outreach of who this content could be seen by. And so that's when I kind of transitioned into LinkedIn, and that got a little bit of a farther reach. But I was really encouraged to really be able to put it on a different platform so that it was more public. So hence I've come up with the Green Obsidian.
Fantastic. And obviously it's working because I came across you somehow. And so in the last year, you've been getting a little bit more recognition and people who are seeing it and kind of it catching on.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's been a wild year. Okay. and I had no intentions for it I had no idea what it would turn into, but I'm just so thankful of what has come about, truly just what has come about from it and all the support that I've gotten just over the previous years. And even now just launching it as the Green Obsidian, just to be in, I don't know, it's just overwhelming sometimes, but truly grounded in gratitude for it.
That's fantastic. And then, so tell us what your plans are for Green Obsidian this year.
Yes. So the Green Obsidian is again launching another year of some amazing people that we're going to highlight this year. Really looking forward to just promoting a lot of the work that's going on with people who are really doing awesome work that I've come across just over the years. Because there's some people that I would have loved to add. I just didn't make it to the list. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just looking forward to just showing who they are and what they do, and really getting the support that they need to promote their work that wouldn't necessarily make it to mainstream media, or it doesn't get highlighted as much, and how people can connect with them.
Very cool. And do you want to give us a little insight into who some of those people are, sneak previews?
Yes. It's a good list. I would say one of them that I've come across is Marshall Johnson. He's with the National Audubon Society. He works as a chief conservation officer. So he's doing some really extremely good work. Who else can I try not to give away too many good ones? I would have to say Dr. Tierra Moore from Black and Marine Science. Also really good work. I don't want to give too much, but
of course.
That's awesome. That's a really good one.
I love it. Both of those I'm trying to get on the show. So hi guys.
Yes. Listen, Tierra, what she's doing with Black and Marine Science, like truly, I love their content, love the advocacy work with like water conservation and just ocean science in general. Right. I think it's just, especially me being in Florida, I think it's so important that we really dive, no pun intended, but really dive into that whole atmosphere of like what the ocean really is. And because there's so much of it that we don't know. And granted, that's okay. I'm totally fine with not knowing all about the ocean, because you have to leave some curiosity. But the way that they really do community engagement and just engage people into the work of ocean science, like I love it. As I learn more about it, it's just so intriguing. So yes, BIMS, just that whole team, they're great. Shout out to them, shameless plug. Trying to think of some other people.
Don't give it all away.
Okay. But it's, like I said, like I say this every year, but it's a really fire list of people that I'm highlighting, because I've just kind of been keeping an eye on their content, through the year or through the years. And it's just sometimes it's really about divine timing of when to highlight their work. Because sometimes I might find them maybe like last year, but they've really come out with more content, even more so this year. So it just adds to the pot of what I can contribute to their bio. So.
Yeah. So how do you decide okay, this month I'm going to highlight all of these people and next month I'm going to do, how do you decide? Like, it's got to be challenging. I mean, that can't be easy.
It is a challenge. And like I said, like through the year, I just I put everybody on like a list, right? Of like, as soon as I hear their name or there's a link that can kind of give me more information, I save it. There's just so much you can do. But I just once I get to my deadline, which is usually around like October, November, that's when I really decide on like, okay, going through this list, who can I add? Because it's really about how much content I can grab from all the materials that I researched on them. So that can be tedious. It's so time consuming because the work that people have, it may not always be out there, or they might not always be so well known, which is part of the problem, because I'm trying to gain more awareness about them. And so sometimes there's just not a lot of information. And so that's where divine timing comes into play, because like maybe that just means it isn't their time just yet to be highlighted. Maybe they're working on it for whatever reason. It could mean like maybe they're working on something better, and it can gain more just acknowledgement about what they're doing. It's really timing. That's the best way I can describe it. Just the material and research that you can gain around those people and how much content you can put into just the writing portion of it.
Yeah, 100%. And so when you're looking for new people, is new people you're going to highlight this year? Is it all new people? Do you encourage to look back at people you've highlighted in the past as well? Do you update that list, I guess?
So I update my list with new people. So every year, every February, I highlight new people. But what I'm trying to get into this year, for the first, now that it's coming into the first year of the Green Obsidian, is to kind of do follow-up. So like what are they up to? So like so far, kind of leading up to Black History Month, I've been doing these Throwback Thursdays. So I've been posting a person from each year that I've been doing it. What people, again, part of the backlogging process, which has been tedious as it is, for real. Right, like you're talking about 28 people since 2019 every year. So that's 140 people just about of backlog that wasn't on my platform before, but now I have to put. But I pick new people every year to highlight for the Green Obsidian. But what I'm really trying to get into now is kind of do follow-ups. Like, what are they up to now? To see like what has grown, what has changed since being, not just being highlighted, but just overall and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so where can people look at your past list? What's the link that you can send them?
So you can find a lot of that past list on the Green Obsidian, but again, a lot of that is being still backlogged. Mm-hmm. So just trying to find a creative way so that I can show people all of the people that I've highlighted within the past since 2019. To just kind of do it in a creative way that's not overwhelming to read all these stories at once, because it's a lot. Right. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And like I say, we really appreciate you taking the time to tell us more about it. So for Black History Month, what do you recommend for individuals looking to support some of these individuals, not just for Black History Month, but generally diversity, throughout the year? What are some recommendations you can give to people to kind of help support you in this process as well?
I definitely would encourage people to read the stories. Really, like it starts there from reading, and to see what all they're doing and see where you can kind of fit into their main missions or agendas. And just connect with them head on. Like I give you time and opportunity to be able to connect. Sometimes I tag them right in the post, honest to goodness. And I also, if I can, I add in a lot of their links, like websites or Facebook pages, so that you can directly connect with them. Like there's no excuse. There's none. I don't leave you any room for error. Like this is your chance. So if you read their stories and you get inspired or want to learn more about them or how you want to get involved to support them, you have that platform to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk about businesses too, right? There's also, I think, a responsibility for businesses to also be engaged and be involved in connecting with these, with individuals. So how can businesses also do better, not just from their stories, supporting individuals?
My intention with writing that question was because of some companies just focus on diversity just during Black History Month. Exactly. So the question is, so Nic, I don't know if you'll rephrase it, but my question for Sierra, since this is about Black History Month, is how do they do this not only in February, but the rest of the year?
Yeah.
And that is such a valid question. And because I think, if I can speak candidly, what we really run into, especially around Black History Month, is that a lot of businesses or companies, they do it for clout. And if you're not familiar with clout, Google it. I won't go into a segment about clout, but it's truthful. So like it turns into one of those trends that people are doing, and there's no authenticity behind it. There's no authentic intention behind it, because I truly believe that you don't need a month to understand that Black history happens every day.
Yeah.
It happens every day of the year, 360 days a year. And we just so happen to highlight it in a month, the shortest month let me just say, but we highlight it in the month just to show that we exist and we are here and we're part of society. And so to go back to your question of how can these companies or organizations not just focus on diversity within 1 month, but do it consistently throughout the year is effort. Where are you showing up the most effort, and how are you connecting with community? Who are the allies that you have in place to do it authentically and intentionally, to bring that diversity into place, and to not just call it diversity just because you have people of different backgrounds, but how do you keep them there? What is your retention? That's the most important thing, because anybody can bring anybody on a team. But if you don't keep them there, if you don't have any tools or structure in place to keep them there, to make them feel seen, they're just there. Like, it's like the saying, how do you bring everybody to the table? But if you're not giving me a plate to eat, what's the point?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like you're hitting the diversity mark, but you're missing inclusion. Basically.
Yeah. I can't get fed with the rest of the team.
Right.
Yeah.
So are there recommendations you have for people interested in connecting more in the environmental community too, that you can share with us right now?
Yeah, I'd say start with self. I think that's really the most important thing. See where, not just as an organization, where you as an individual can fit in with a person's mission or organization. Volunteer. That's how I get started with anything. I volunteer to see if it's a good fit and to see where I fit in with their mission or just their statements in general. And then it grows from there. So before any company gets involved, start with self.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. We think a lot of times like, I have to get paid to do something valuable, which is silly. But are there places that you volunteer with yourself? Yeah.
So I do a lot, maybe too much. That's probably part of the problem. I volunteer too much, but no, I really enjoy being so I'm a volunteer leader with Outdoor Afro, which is an organization that's really about creating Black joy in outdoor spaces. So as a leader, I tend to lead people on different outdoor adventures. So I've been doing that for the last couple of years, and it's been great. But I also just really volunteer my time within the counties. Because I'm in Broward County, I tend to do a lot of like Spark volunteer opportunities that they usually have, whether that's like invasive species management removal, but also birding with a lot of the naturalists in our county parks. And the same thing for Miami-Dade. Like I was at a volunteer event today, just putting in garden beds and native plants for a local neighborhood park in the area. So it's just kind of like where you feel the most connected to do the things that you like to do. I like to be in the dirt because I like to plant things and I like to go birding. And so I tend to find a lot of activities that kind of are aligned with those things.
Yeah, which makes a ton of sense. And that's great. And I love that you live in Broward County. You're basically, the Miami area, for those who aren't familiar. So that's a great place for birding. It really is. And it's a really unique city, it's a really, really diverse area. So how are things going in Broward County? I know you work with them as well. So what are the kind of the things that are going on in that area?
Yeah, Broward County, what I really like about Broward County is that they're being very future forward about being sustainable. And so just kind of getting involved with a lot of just working as a unit, because sometimes we work in silos, and I really try to get out of that so that we can all work as a system, because we're all looking for the same thing. We're all working towards the same thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just kind of get in our groups and forget about the rest. So they're really working a lot with connecting people together about some of the sustainability initiatives that are going around within the different municipalities. So there's Coral Springs, there's Hollandale. So all these small little cities that are also doing work in like water conservation, plant pollinators, native plant pollinators, and things like that, to just bring more awareness, and also the diversity. So the language is because it's such a diverse area, so it's really about just communication and connecting people.
Oh, that's really awesome. I love, being from Tampa and being so close to Miami, Broward County. And a lot of times I was involved with the Florida Sterling Council, and Broward and Dade counties were always the role models for all government agencies and things that they were doing. So that's really awesome to hear the good work that you are involved in. Also want to shout out RuMap, because if we're going to shout out Dr. Tiara Moore, then
shout out Ru.
Ru deserves a shout out too.
She does. She does. I hope she hears this.
Because I love following the work that they're doing also. And so, Broward County, are there any projects that you're currently working on that you'd like to talk about?
Not at the moment. If anything, they're just kind of projects that I've been doing so far and just kind of continuing the motion to just elevate it. If anything, I will say, if anything, I am working on trying to do more with getting data for a lot of our diversity of birds, especially for migration season coming up. Yeah. So just kind of getting more tracking information on identifying species within the county. And then again, having that translate to a lot of the smaller sets of, or the smaller cities in the area of how to make a lot of buildings bird safe. So that's kind of one thing that I'm working on in the works.
Oh, that's awesome. Every time I see another glass building go up, I'm like,
exactly. Exactly. Because bird window collision is a really big issue. And so I used to, back in the day when I was in Milwaukee, I was a really big advocate for bird window collision. I was a bird window collision monitor with the Humane Society. And I did it for years, actually. And I was really still am passionate about it. And so, especially being down here where the majority of the coast is just sky rises, there's not a lot of data. So just trying to bring momentum and more awareness about bird window collisions and how to get businesses and residential areas involved in that capacity to kind of help reduce the amount of bird window collisions that are happening, because it decreases the population, so many populations, such a decline in migratory bird species happening because of that. Yeah. And so just trying to bring more awareness about it and be intentional about it, not just for clout, because, but because you care about what's happening and want to do something about it that can contribute to the wide solutions that we have to help wildlife coexist with us and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I often picture like these big glass buildings with window clings all over them or something, like, or they buzz or they hum, or like, what can we do? So like the birds are like, okay, I don't see it, but there's something there.
Exactly. Because they don't understand, reflection, so it makes it difficult for them. And I mean, I have friends in Milwaukee that kind of work in a lot of those big buildings where I would monitor, especially right off Lake Michigan. And they would tell me like sometimes they'd have like great blue herons hit the glass. Yeah. Like, yeah. So just kind of pinpointing areas of where there's a high mortality rate of dead birds that are happening. And what can we do to reduce the impact?
Yep. Yeah. I worked in a first floor office, and a hawk actually came at the window and like last second realized it and then came into the window feet first. Wow. So it's like it thought it was attacking another bird and then was like, oh no,
that's myself.
It was wild. It scared the heck out of me, but thankfully it flew off and I hope it was okay. But even just, they don't have to be high rises either. The glass is a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're out there doing that work. That is very important.
Thank you.
But it's a perfect segment now into our field notes segment, where we ask our guests about interesting moments from the field. So we're hoping that people who are listening will share their stories with us on EPR with the hashtag field notes, so we can highlight them on future episodes. That's one of our initiatives for this year. So last time we talked, Sierra, we talked about your love for birds, and you mentioned earlier that you've already been out birding today.
Guilty.
And,
Guilty.
So tell us about any great bird encounters you've had since the last time we spoke.
Oh, man. So dang.
Just one. You just have to pick one.
Okay.
Chance to nerd out about birds. Go.
Just one?
I know.
Nabbit. Dag nabbit. Okay. Just one. So since the last time we talked, I have had a chance to kind of go back home and kind of visit family. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, I've gotten myself acclimated to an extent being down here and getting used to seeing some of the tropical birds. But then I also think about, some of the birds as I ear train from time to time. Like I go through some of the birds. I'm like, dang, I haven't seen a robin, an American robin in so long. I don't know what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so needless to say, I was home in Milwaukee. Shout out to the 414. Where I was having coffee with a friend of mine at Collectivo Coffee on the lakefront. And I was parking my car. And I parked my car where the front end of my car faces the woods in the parking lot. And I sat there for a moment. And then out comes, out of the blue, a white-throated sparrow. I was like, and we don't have them a lot down here. Yeah. And so I was like, huh. So I rolled down my window because I don't have automatic windows. I have to manually put it down. I posted out. I was just like, I just want to hear it. I need to hear this. and it thankfully it sung a little bit, but it did its, its usual sparrow chipping sound. But I was like, I have not seen a white-throated sparrow in so long. Between that and the American robin, it just, I had to stop what I was doing just to stare at it because it just looked so out of place. But in all actuality, it was in the right place.
Yeah.
Just like, wow. And it makes you think about where you are location wise of like, how the things that we see all the time. And then when you leave and not see them for a while, and then you come back to that, it's like, wow, it's just fascinating how nature works just because of where we are regionally in the world. And then you come back to the things that are familiar and it just grounds you, I think, more than anything. Because I always love going back home. As much as I love the sun, I love custard. Okay. So I always enjoy going back home to just kind of reminisce about a lot of the parks because I used to work for Milwaukee County Parks. Shout out to the park system. And just going birding and collecting data, literally going eBird, getting paid to bird, which is great, and just going to those places and listing off all these different types of species that I would find and hear, and then coming to Florida and not hardly hearing any of those familiar birds that are residents of Wisconsin. So I'm like, I would definitely say the white-throated sparrow and the American robin were my two, like, I know they're common for us, but it was just different after being here for a while now. It'll be 3 years now, but after being here for a while and then going home and seeing them, it's heartfelt. Like it's very, I don't know how to, it's a feeling. I can't really explain it, but it just makes you feel like good to be home.
Yeah. And you're coming home.
Yeah.
I feel you. It makes sense. There are not nearly as many mockingbirds in Syracuse as there are in Florida. Like mockingbirds are everywhere. And they're silly and they're instigators, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And to just between them and the blue jays, like they're so funny. They are. I mean, we have blue jays back home, but not mockingbirds. So I just sometimes I watch them. I'm just like, why are you being a butthead today?
Yeah. What are you so sassy for? It's like like
I saw you attack that paw warbler for no reason.
No reason. Yeah.
But occasionally I will hear this bird and then I will turn and I'm like, there's a mockingbird,
Yeah. Now I will say I was listening to a mockingbird the other day who did a fantastic job of mimicking a red-tailed hawk. And it fooled me almost. I was like, wow. That big, but you always know because like red-tailed hawks, they'll finish their call. Like, and even like with blue jays and mockingbirds, they'll mimic them, but they won't do the whole thing all the way. But man, was that mockingbird close. Had me fooled for a second. It's like, ooh, good one. You almost got me.
Do you use the Merlin app ever?
Yeah, I do use the Merlin app. Sometimes I also use the Audubon app too, though. Yeah, it tends. I like to use it I like to go back and forth from time to time because sometimes they have different features. And sometimes they just have different variations of the pictures to really help to identify them. So,
yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts when I hear a bird. I'm like, I heard it. And then I can't find it.
Oh, that's the worst. That is the worst.
I hear you. I can't see you.
Yes. And then you wait there for hours and that's me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to find it. I might miss lunch, but I'm going to find it.
Yeah, there's a bird up here I saw for the first time this year. And of course, I'm not going to remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was so cool. And I'm like, there's a whole bunch of them. This is awesome. Actually, they're in my Merlin app because they're all in my Merlin app. Now I go walking through there's actually a bird refuge right here.
Nice.
And I'll just go walk over there and just turn on the Merlin app while I walk. And then I'll be like, oh, there's all these birds.
Yeah.
So cool.
Man, we have all of these free, useful resources at our fingertips. And so a couple years ago, I did a bird, I call it birding 101, but just getting an overview of like how to bird and what is birding and how to do it. And so I tell people all the time, birding is so unconventional. You don't have to go to these fancy places where you got to pay $30 to get in or halfway across town to go birding. Birding can happen right as you're sitting wherever you are, as long as you have a window. And then you have all these additional free resources like apps that when we all have phones, at least the majority of us have smartphones where we can download a free app. And it's like having a book at your fingertips, And so like birding can really be this unconventional thing where you have the usual places where you can go like parks or refuges and things like that. But you can also like bird right outside your window. You can bird at the park. You can bird in the mall, going to Target, because I do it all the time. Just the other day, I was not at Target, at Publix, and I saw this Cooper's hawk that literally flew right in front of me. Literally flew right in front of me. And it took me 20 minutes to even get to Publix because I was outside in the parking lot, and all these people started to come up to me like, "Hey, what are you looking at?" Because I keep binoculars in the car. I'm like, there's a Cooper's hawk right there. But truly, it can be so unconventional that you can literally do it anywhere. Sky rises, if you live in a skyrise apartment like most people do in Miami Beach, I can imagine the views of pelicans flying by that you can get, okay? Mm-hmm. So there's all these different
pelicans
ways.
And the white pelicans come in the wintertime.
Man, the views, mm-hmm. You got to use your resources to your advantage. So you don't have to go far to go birding. It can happen really as close as you can make it.
Yeah, which is totally great. It's absolutely great. Couldn't agree more.
All right, well, we're getting towards the end of our time. Are there any specific things you're looking forward to this year? Obviously, the growth and the new things with Green Obsidian, but anything else?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just awareness, just spreading awareness about diversity and conservation, and also looking forward to highlighting and staying updated with the work of all the people that I've highlighted so far, but especially this year, to just kind of see what they've been up to and to continue to follow them in their journey and just support it as best as I can, whether it's financially, whether that's just with manual labor or just sharing it, really. That's what I look forward to. So between that and just growth of expanding the Green Obsidian and just living life in abundance.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, and, to that effect, like I say, we're happy to highlight that. We're really excited, looking forward to all the things that are going to come out with Green Obsidian. We'll be sure to either ping you here or, just point it out again as we go through the year, because it's great. It's great and wonderful stuff. And we're really happy that you get to do it. So before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Just keep birding. Just keep birding. Keep birding.
Yeah. And gosh, there's always great stories. And so we really, really appreciate it. And last but not least, let people know where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so you can definitely get in touch with me on LinkedIn, and you can search my whole name, Sierra Taliaferro. But you can certainly find me on Facebook as well, in addition to the Green Obsidian.
Heck yeah. All right, Sierra, thank you so much for coming back on. It's such a pleasure. Can't wait to see you again.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
And that's our show. Thank you, Sierra, for joining us today. Please be sure to check us out each and every Friday. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. See you, everybody.
Bye.